Hello everyone. So today we are going to work on how to uh, change these cycle button values through the keyboard or gamepad. Now here you can see I'm not using the mouse. I'm using arrow keys to change the values in these cycle buttons, and you can see here if I change the overall option, now everything is changing, responding according to that. And if I change any of the other options, the overall option responds according to that, and it restores if I manually set everything into one setting. So yeah, basically we are going to focus on how to enable. Well, we already have interaction with the keyboard for each of these UI elements, but we are going to make it work the callbacks and all the delegates that we have created to implement this responding other elements to overall when we are using to change the value, the keyboard or the gamepad. So yeah, how to control the cycle option widget that we have created with the gamepad and keyboard, and also how to bind the delegates properly to enable that function. Okay, so that's what we are going to work on today. And before we get started, let me remind you that you can download the project files of this project and all other thousands of projects I have done in my channel from my Patreon page. Once you become a member, you can access everything without any limits. Feel free to check it out. I'll leave links to everything in description below. And here is the full playlist of this series. Everything is implemented from scratch. You can follow these episodes and implement everything by yourself too. So I'll leave the link to this as well. Alright, now let's get back to today's episode. Alright, so now this is what we are going to work on. So here, if I go to the graphics option, here we have a bunch of cycle option cycles, which are these options that we see here. So I can change them with my arrow keys or with my gamepad like this, but the problem is because I'm changing them with the keyboard, you don't see this this overall setting should have changed to custom now because I have custom settings. And also if I try to change the overall settings to down below, everything should be matched to match the should be changed to match the overall setting too. So that is also not happening here. Okay, so let's take a look and see why is it. So this option cycle, this is the sub widget that I am using to show those options. Now here, if I go to the code, but before I go to the code, I have these buttons, and these buttons are associated with the on-click event, which calls these two events. So basically, it shifts the text, that means the selected option, in this in this option rotator, and call this on option changed callback, which we have subscribed to in our graphics settings, graphics options here. So this on none overall option change, this is one thing. Should be able to see it here. This is where we bind. This is for overall option, we change overall values selected. And this is for non-overall options or non-overall option changed. So this is where that callback is fired. Now the problem is this callback is not firing when the value is changed here. So because of that, we don't get that callback. Because of that, this UI does not respond when I change the values through the keyboard or the gamepad. So let's see. Let me open this blueprint. I think we already have an event that fires when the value is changed here. Let me check. Here, if I go to option rotator, oh, not that. Here in the option cycle, this is the pre-construct. Let me get a reference to the option, no, not the option array, option rotator. Let's see, on selection, find event to on selected changed. Okay, let's see. Let's create an event. Let's add an event to see what this returns. Oh, this returns the button and selected. No, this is not going to work because we need to know the index value of the option that is currently selected. Maybe we will have to add the custom delegate for the event dispatcher for that. So yeah. So here let's add on selection updated, and let's add an integer. Let's say index, selected index, and let's call it here. Oh, my engine crashed. Nothing was saved. Okay, let me create again on selection dated. Index. Let me hit compile. Call on selection updated. So we need to call it here. Right. Now let's go to the option cycle, and here on select when updated. Right. I'll create a matching function. Oh, yeah, we had to create a matching function. We can't directly call this on option changed. We have to do it through a function. So create a matching function. On selection updated. Let's call on option changed. All right, now the system should respond when we change the values through the keyboard. Yeah, see, the above one became custom. And if I select the top one, now it is working, but there is a problem. The overall one is always custom. I think I know why. That's because if I go here and I have this on none overall option is changed. Well, whenever a none overall option is changed, I just directly mark the overall option as the custom. And now that this is called, even when the option is changed as a result of change in the overall option too. So maybe let's do something like this. First of all, let me convert this into an event. The reason is, this wouldn't solve our problem, but the reason is this would be called, for example, if I change the overall option, all these other options will be changed to match the value of the overall option, and changing the value of this option will also trigger a callback into this function. So here I'll add a small retriggerable delay so that this will be executed only once for the multiple calls that is received into this event. Because this is a retriggerable delay, every time when I get consecutive calls into this event, it will remain here without executing this part. But for this part, instead of just simply marking it as custom, I think we should have a function here to manually check all the values of options and check if any of them have a different value compared to the overall value. If yes, we should mark it as custom. So let's convert this to a function. Check custom state. Now I have here all options, and let's run which loop here, and we can get the selected index of each of these option cycle objects, and we can compare this. If any of these things, these selected values are not similar to the value in overall option, so we can get selected value, selected index of the overall option, and let's promote it to a local variable. Overall index. If this is true, that means value is custom. So let's add another local variable, custom overall value. I'll mark it as, well, by default it is false, but if this happens, this should become true. Since this is a local variable, I don't need to initialize it here at the beginning because this is already false. And if this happens once, we can just break this. Oh yeah, actually we could do that too. We can mark the overall option. Oh, actually we don't need this at all. The overall option as custom and return. So this will break this for each loop. If not, here, well, I don't think we need to set the overall option as not custom, but well, let's see about that. Let's check this case first. Let's play. Now the first one is selected. See, now it is responding. And if I change any here, it becomes custom. So when I set it to epic, now it doesn't become epic again. Maybe we should try that. Well, no. The reason it does not become epic again is It was already different when we start. So I guess that's fine, because the important thing is when we change the value in the overall option, it works correctly. Yeah. Well, there is one more thing we can try. So if I was just checking what it returns if the value is already custom. So if this is -1, that means we already have a custom value. So in that case, let's check if this is true. That means we already have a custom value. If false, that means we don't have a custom value already in the overall option. So in this case, I'll get all options and get the first one, whatever the first one is, the non-overall one, and get selected index and make it the overall index. And then if this is not fired at any time, in the end I'll again get the overall option, date selection with the overall index. That should give us back the proper value of overall state if everything is changed back to a common setting. Let's see. So see, it's high now. Now let me change the second one to medium. Now it became custom. If I change it back to high, it is still custom. Okay, so that didn't work. Oh, I think I know why. Because we don't exclude from the test here the overall setting, because overall option is already in all options, right? Let me double check that. Yes, it is. Equal to overall. And equal to. Okay, let's check now. Done. Yeah, see, that worked. Okay, so yeah, it is working. Now if I change one of the settings back to a different one, it becomes custom. If I change it back to be same as all other options, the overall becomes epic. So yeah, exactly what we needed. Alright, so thanks for watching. As always, updated project files will be available for download here in the Patreon page. Link would be in the description below. And let me know if you have any questions in the comments. See you in another episode. Goodbye.